भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टाप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरि ओम तत्सत्। 1-3 Canto 1, reading from Canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam, Creation, Chapter 3, titled Krishna is the source of all incarnations, verse number 13. अष्टमे मेरुदेव्यां तु नाभिर्जाता गुरुक्रमः दर्शयन् वर्त्मधीराणां सर्वाश्रमनमस्कृतम्। अष्टमे मेरुदेव्यां तु नाभिर्जाता गुरुक्रमः दर्शयन् वर्त्मधीराणां सर्वाश्रमनमस्कृतम्। अष्टमे मेरुदेव्यां तु नाभे जाता गुरुक्रमः दर्शयन् वर्त्मधीराणां सर्वाश्रमनमस्कृतम्। Word to word. Ashtame, the eighth of the incarnations, Meru Devyantu, in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of Nabhe, King Nabhi, Jata, took birth. Urukrama, all powerful Lord, Darshayan, by showing Vartma, the way. Dhiranam, of the perfect being, Sarva, all, Ashrama, orders of life, Namaskrutam, honored by. Translation by Juvenges, A.C. Bhakti Vedant, Shamashagopal ki Jai. The eighth incarnation was King Rsabha, the son of King Nabhi, and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. Please repeat. The eighth incarnation was King Rsabha, the son of King Nabhi, and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation, the Lord showed the path of perfection, which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. Verse number 14. Rishibhiryachito beje navamam pardivam vapuh dugde mam oshadir vipras तेनायं स उसत्तमः। ऋषिभिर्याचितो बेजे नवमं पार्थिवं वपुः दुग्धे मां वोषधिर्विप्रा तेनायं स उसत्तमः। ऋषिभिर्याचितो बेजे नवमं पार्थिवं वपुः दुग्धे मां वोषधिर्विप्रा तेनायं स उसत्तमः। Word to word. Rishabhi, by the sages. Yachita, being prayed for. Beje, accepted. Navamam, the ninth one. Pardivam, the ruler of the earth. Vapu, the body. Dugda, milking. Imam, all these. Voshadi, products of earth. Vipra, O Brahmanas. Tena, by. I am this. Sahi, Usattamaha, beautifully attractive. Translation by Sri Prabhupada. O Brahmanas, in the ninth incarnation, the Lord prayed for by the sages, accepted the body of a king Prthu, who cultivated the land to yield various produce, and for that reason the earth was beautiful and attractive. You repeat. O Brahmanas, ninth incarnation, Lord prayed for by sages, accepted the body of a king Prthu, who cultivated the land to yield various produce, and for that reason the earth was beautiful and attractive. So, we'll try to understand these two verses and the instructions of King Lord Rsabhadev and Prthu Maharaj. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं देवतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरं वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। श्री रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। So, reading from Canto 1, Chapter 3, Krishna is source of all incarnation, verse number 13 and 14. Here it is mentioned about Lord Rishabh. 13th verse is talking about Lord Rishabhadev's incarnation. This is the incarnation, I think, ninth incarnation, eighth incarnation. The list of 24 or 22 incarnations being given mainly. Otherwise, there are many millions of incarnations, so many hundreds of incarnations, millions of incarnations are there. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adhyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlom Adurlom Atmokto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. It's very difficult to understand. There is no end to the glories of the Supreme Lord, no end to the incarnate. Just the Manvantara avatar itself, 500,000 or more in life of Brahma. So you can understand. So the eighth incarnation is Lord Rsabha, who is son of a King Nabi and Meru Devi. And then the 14th verse we are talking about King Prthu Maharaj. So now first we will understand about the King Rsabha and what instructions he has given. Very, very important instructions. Lord Rsabha is directly the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Lord Rsabha is not Shaktavesh avatar, as we described previously. Four Kumaras, Narada Muni, they are all Shaktavesh avatar, Jiva Tattva. Here Lord Rshabhadev is Vishnu Tattva, not Jiva Tattva. And King Prthu is Shaktavesh avatar, Jiva Tattva. So we'll come to that. So first King Rshabhadev has been here instructed, is mentioned, is teaching the path of perfection. Is teaching by the mainly the path of perfection, especially how everybody is honored, all the ashramas, all varnas and ashramas, brahmacharya ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha, sannyas ashram, everybody honored, even the brahmana, vaishya, kshatriya, sudra, all varna and ashrama honored Lord Rishabhadev, because he was acting, he is showing by his own example the path of perfection, acted as a paramahamsa. So in sannyas ashram, last ashram, there is four divisions further. Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Paramahamsa and Parivrajikacharya and Paramahamsa. So Kutichaka means he stays still within the village. He might be staying outside the home. Still the wife may be supplying food or something, or other villagers may give. Then gradually he may move from there to some other place, that is Bahudaka. And then gradually Parivraj Karya means he is not staying at one place more than 3 days, he is traveling throughout the world. That is Parivraj Karya. And Paramahamsa means he is completely detached internally, fully, and came to the status of pure devotee, Paramahamsa, like a swan, the expert swan. You can distinguish matter from spirit, and you can engage everything in the service of the Lord. So that is the position of Lord Rishabhadev. So it is especially is mentioned as fully controlled. So he has instructed, main instruction there are almost many instructions are there. 20 instructions. We'll read from that. So, but the main point in this verse directly is coming up is Dhira and Adhira. From this Lord Rishabhadev. Lord Rishabhadev acted as Dhira. Dhira means one who is controlled fully his senses, his mind and his intelligence. Sense control, Dhira. Just like Lord Krishna when he did the during the Rajasuya sacrifice, Yudhishthira Maharaj was looking to Find out who is the best, topmost person who can be given that position, who can be given that position in Rajasuya sacrifice. But so many great exalted personalities were there. Vasudev, Narada Muni, so many. But then everybody anonymously, especially most of them, anonymously told Lord Krishna should be the Agra Puja, he should receive. Even Bhishma Pitama told, yes, he is the, because he is the Dhira, he is the most Dhira. Nobody can be Dhira like Lord Krishna. Even during, even though he is with so many gopis from Davan, but he is not agitated. So, Dhira means one who is fully sense controlled. I may be, even though he was a brahmachari, Naistik brahmachari whole life, Bhishma Pitama never married. But I may be get agitated, but Lord Krishna is completely dhira, is fully controlled his senses, because he is the Supreme Lord. So that's why he must be given the topmost position. He is the brahmachari, even though even among so many girls, beautiful girls, but still he is not agitated. That is the position of the Supreme Lord. Same way, and then we see the Lord Shiva also, Kumar Sambhava. Been given Kalidas rights. Even Lord Shiva is not doesn't get agitated. Even when they sent his wife, 16-year-old young girl, Durga Devi or Parvati, is born as the daughter of Himalayas after Daksha Prajapati created a great havoc. Then she gave up her body by creating a fire and entering, and then she is born again second time as the daughter of Himalayas. So that time they sent to because Lord Shiva went to meditate because he lost his wife. And then that time the demigods, all of them created, and also they want to win against demons. So they wanted a son also. That's later on, but first they want to agitate Lord Shiva. So they sent Parvati Devi to agitate him. But Lord Shiva was not agitated at all. So that's why he is also called Dhira. So Dhira means one who sense control completely. So one must act. This comes by practice, not automatically. That's why it requires regular practice. Voluntarily, one must give up. Voluntarily, one must accept austerities, especially waking up early in the morning. So chanting the holy name, performing devotional activities, hearing, chanting, reading, engaging in service, worshipping the deity. So all these aspects coming under that austerity is to serve the Supreme Lord, not for austerity for some other ulterior motives. No, austerity must be used. Tapasa brahmacharyena samena damena cha. Here, Lord Rsabha, that is the first instruction where it is mentioned. This is the Dhira and Adhira, first one. And he had 100 sons. Out of 100 sons, uh, 9 of them became Navayogendras, sannyasis. They became Navayogendras. There is a beautiful instruction later on. Navayogendras instructing King Nimi, 11th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. And then 11 of them became Kshatriyas. One of them is Bharat Maharaj, who ruled the Bharat Desh today, called. So this is coming from this Lord Rshabhadev's son. There are three types, three Bharats. But this is the Bharat, Lord Rshabhadev's son, one of the son out of 100. Is the son from there. This Bharat, the name has come. So out of 11, so 9 became sannyasis, 11 became Kshatriyas, remaining 80 of them became Brahmanas. So Lord Rshabhadev's sons are divided in this way. Now Lord Rshabhadev is instructing, and also Lord Rshabhadev has left his body, left. Lord Rshabhadev himself is the Lord, incarnation of the Supreme Lord. He is not Siktyavesh avatar, he is directly the incarnation of Supreme Lord. So, and he left when his pastimes are ended, when his time is up, he went to the place called Kutikachala. This is in close to Madurai. This is an excellent. I will read from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Multiple indications are being given. And the Prabhupada is quoting also in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 6, verse number 8. Near Kutikachala forest, the body of Lord Rshabhadev was burned to ashes. But really it is not burned, because Lord A soul will never get born in general for anybody, any living entity. So here in this case, Lord's body just is indicating that Lord disappeared, basically left the planet. So there it is mentioned, even the animals, where the place Lord left is concluded past times, even the animals got liberated from that place. This is near Madurai. So there it is also mentioned, king, some of them became imitated. Lord Rishabhdev performed some kind of activity like some yoga. So these personalities, some of the people imitated Lord Rishabhdev's activities. That's how new religion has started. In 569 of Srimad Bhagavatam, king of Konka, Venka, and Kotaka, whose name was Kotaka's son, whose name was Arhat, imitated imitated and introduced the new system of religion. This is the beginning of Jain Dharma, similar to Paundraka. This is not authorized by the Vedic scriptures. This is not authorized. This is concocted or created later on. So it may be surprising because people follow, just if somebody does it, creates it, then oh, this might be the authentic. People follow. That's why everything must be. Mantra cannot be received just like anybody and everybody. I receive mantra. You might be speaking devotion topics, but that doesn't mean anything. It is not going to bring transformation. So sampradaya vihinaste mantraste vifalamat. So in Rsabhadeva's instruction, Prthu Maharaj's instruction, you can clearly see whom we should take initiation from. That also Prthu Maharaj is instructing. Lord Rsabhadeva is instructing. Lord Rsabhadeva is instructing who we should accept as a guru, not ordinary person. So this is how the Jain Dharma started, Jain religion started. This is the imitation of Lord Rsabhadeva's activities. So now so the Lord Rsabhadeva instructed his sons in Canto 5, Chapter 3, where before even, so how Lord Rsabhadeva was born. Lord Rsabhadeva was born to King Nabi and Meru Devi. King Nabi performed wonderful sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord and to get a son like Supreme Lord. So by engaging in the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to engage in sacrifice, there's a nice instruction. In any service, in any sacrifice, seven things must be seven. There are seven means to obtain the result, proper result, especially the Supreme Lord, to the mercy of Supreme Lord. First is, seven means to obtain the mercy of the Supreme Lord. First is sacrificing valuable things and eatables for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. That is the first thing. Then the second one is by acting in terms of place. So we must act appropriately, time, place, circumstances. When we go to temple, that's why we must appropriately dress, must appropriately act, avoid prajalpa, avoid talking anything other than Lord Krishna and his service and his devotees, anything in connection with Krishna. As much as possible, we should try to do that more than other things, because that is the only purpose when we come to temple. Now, 3, by acting in terms of time. Yes, we have to see according to the time, because there are appropriate times, inappropriate times, what we should do, what we shouldn't do in worshipping the temple. Because when the deities are sleeping, we shouldn't be engaging in some of the activities. So deities also take rest. So there's a process how we engage in. So that's why everything must be looked at. Then the fourth one is by offering various hymns, mantras, and then because that is Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatrika Vidimvina Aikantiki Bhaktir Utpatavi Kalpade. That's why one must follow Shruti and Smriti, Vedas, Upanishad, Puranas. Rishabhadev also is mentioned in the Srinivasa Gadyam. I used to chant this. It is very long and it is a continuous continuous meter. It's not easy to chant unless somebody is used to. Where this Rsabha is mentioned, there's a great significance is there where Lord Rsabhadev went, Rsabhachal. We'll come to that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited, Nityananda Prabhu went, Lord Balaram went, so many personalities visited. So where it is mentioned that so Srimad Akila Mahimandala Mandana Dharanidharasya Mandala Kandalasya Nikilasura Vandita Varaha Kshetra Vibhushanasya Seshachala Gurudachala Simhachala Vrishabhachala Narayanachala Anjanachala Adisri Shikri Mala Kulasya. That's how it goes. This is Srinivasa, it's very nice. You can hear in YouTube, I'm sure, but hear from somebody who is authorized from GR Swami or someone. So then that's a correct meter. There is a meter in the way you sing, very really nice. So in that you see that Vrishabhachala, Garudachala, Simhachala, Vrishabhachala, Narayanachala, Sheshachala. So in that way we can see that Vrishabhachala is nothing but this same thing. So that's where the Lord Rsabha went, and so that is close to Madurai. So in any sacrifice, 7 things to must obtain. So yeah, by the fifth one is by going through a priest. One must engage in right priest, who is a devotee, who is a Vaishnava. Sixth is by offering gifts to the priest. This must be done. And then so by engaging in these 7 things by King Nabi, then Lord himself appeared with four-handed form, beautiful form. Then Lord have given the blessings uh, to King Nabi, and you will be blessed with a son. Where it is mentioned, Lord Vishnu appeared before King Nabi with 4 arms. He was very bright. He appeared to be the best of all personalities. Around the lower portion of his body, he wore a yellow silk garment. On his chest was the mark of Srivatsa, which always displays beauty. He carried a conch shell, lotus flower, disc, and a club. He wore a garland of forest flowers and a Kaustuba gem. He was beautifully decorated with a helmet, earrings, bangles, bell, pearl necklace, armlets, ankle belts, and other bodily ornaments, bedecked with radiant jewels. Seeing the Lord present before him, King Nabi and his priests associates felt just like the poor people who have suddenly attained great riches. They received the Lord and respectfully bent their heads and offered him things in worship. So, Lord appeared by satisfying. So, even though one may perform these 7 things, Lord doesn't need to appear. Lord, only by because they engage in sincere devotion, they engage with bhakti. That's why Lord appeared with 400 one. Lord Vishnu himself appeared. Then he gave the blessings. You satisfied me, so I will you will have a son soon. Then Lord Rsabha was born. So now the Lord Rsabha is instructing here in the 5th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. The first instruction is giving that human life is meant for tapasya, voluntary austerity and penance to attain divine position of devotion service. This is the only means. One may otherwise, so many people perform various austerities, penances, and that's why in Bhagavad Gita, also 18th chapter, Lord Krishna is mentioning that mode of goodness, mode of passion, ignorance. People may perform charity, people may perform austerity, penances, but out of mostly in passion and ignorance. They don't know exactly whom to give, whom not to give charity. The same thing with austerity also. When to perform, for what reason, for what purpose we are performing is very important. So that's why it must be only to please the Lord, to for the to attain divine position of devotion service. So performing devotion service is the highest. That is the purpose. Even when we go to Vaikuntha, Golok Vrindavan, or the rest of the Vaikuntha planet, we will be engaged in devotion service. That is the purpose. Become servant of devotee of the Lord. That is our position. Gopi Bhartu Patakamalayur Das Dasanudas. That is what our acharyas are showing. That is the first instruction. Lord Rshabha is instructing. Tapo divyam patrakayena suddhyam suddhet brahma sokyam hi anantam. You attain the actual unlimited happiness. To satisfy the Supreme Lord, engage in His service. That is the first and foremost. Don't become like other living entities. Use your human life, which is very rare to obtain. So, Nayam deho dehavajam kastan kaman vidbhujami. Very serious instructions. Lord Rshabha. That is the first. Second, to attain liberation by only service to sadhus. Mahatsevan dwaram mahur vimukte. Only way you can be liberated from this material bondage is by serving the great Vaishnavas, sadhus. sages. So pure devotees. That is very important. Otherwise, there is no way to be liberated from this current conditioning, material conditioning. Mahat sevam dwaram ahur vimukta yoshitam sangi sangam tamo dwaram yoshitam. One who is serving those who are materially, those who are built up with wealth and intoxicated with wealth, beauty, and pride of all these material um, things, then by serving them is not going to get any actual transcendental result, any spiritual benefit. So that is very important. So to serve the great sages, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also mentioning Mahat Kripa Vina Kona Karme Bhakti Naya Krishna Bhakti Dure Rahu Samsare Nahi Kshaya. One cannot give up this material condition, he will not be able to attain spiritual body unless he serves the Vaishnavas, especially the pure devotee of the Lord. This is the third instruction. Rsabha is instruction. Become indifferent to execution of duties. Indifferent to execution of duties and collect money to keep the body fit to serve the Supreme Lord. And especially being Grahastha, Grahastha must lead life to hear, chant, worship the deity at home, observe festivals, invite friends and give prasadam, should earn money for this purpose. This is a very, very important point. This is the third instruction, Lord Rsabha. Become indifferent to execution of duties. That means you carry on your duties like serving your parents, serving your family members, and all these others. This is indifferent. We should be, this is not devotion service. Why should I serve my family? No. That's why we have to become indifferent. We must serve because they are Krishna's servants also. Super soul is also there. So we must take care of because that is the job given by the Supreme Lord. So that's why that is also become indifferent to execution of our duties and collect money to keep the body fit to serve the Lord. And as a Grihastha, one must lead to hear, chant, worship the deity at home and observe festivals. Very, very important. Observe festivals. And invite friends and give prasadam. So that is the purpose. Next, fourth instruction, Lord Rshabha is giving. Until one has love for the Lord Vasudeva, Pritirna yavat mayi Vasudeve, muchate deha yogena tavat. One must develop love for the Lord and his devotees. Otherwise, he cannot be delivered. So that means one must give up sinful activity. One must give this I and my concept. So prasadam must be distributed as much as possible. We should distribute to other living entities, not only our family members but other living entities also. So and other devotees, other also human beings, but also even not human beings also. We should, as well as grihastha, we should serve others. It's a very important aspect. So that's why here is giving up sinful activities. Just like otherwise, it is like a government. One who engages in sinful activities, one who is not following the Vedic injunctions, just like the government, what it will do. So one who is following rules and regulations, one who is not following. One who is not following, police force will come and harass. So when nature will give disturbances, nature will stop giving the facilities, nature will stop giving the food, grains, nature will bring great havoc. That is what it is. People don't follow rules and regulations accordingly, and just like government brings police force to control and harass, put them in jail, whatever, criminal proceedings. Same way the material nature. Demigods are in charge, given the authority to act accordingly. To the degree living entities follow, to the degree they allow. To the degree they don't follow, to the degree the demigods, the in charge of this material nature's activities, accordingly they will obstruct living entities from gaining facilities. So that's it's very important. That's why we must give up sinful activity and rather one must develop love for the Lord Vasudeva. Then the fifth one, it has 15 or so instruction within this main instruction. First thing is Lord Rshabha, this is very important. 5, 5, 10 to 13. 4 verses is concluding the whole instructions. Very, very important instructions. First thing is telling, accept highly elevated Paramahamsa as Guru. Don't accept anybody and everybody as Guru. accept highly elevated Paramahamsa. Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat, we see that how will we know? Phalena parichyate, results. Seeing the transformation of the one who can convert, transform the living entities, more and more living entities into devotees. He is the Paramahamsa. So Prabhupada, you can see so many throughout the world, everywhere he could transform anybody and everybody into devotee, because this is the quality of a Paramahamsa, not ordinary. There are many pure divide different levels, but still Prabhupada is not on the ordinary level. So that's why he could transform so many. He could create multitude of devotees, high caliber, because he is such a stalwart, pure devotee, exalted as that's why he is called Prabhupada. Even though Acharya Samad, Prabhupada word is not used for everybody. Even though they might be in Guru Parampara, Prabhupada is not used for everybody. So that's why you can understand so Prabhupada's position. So that's why one must accept highly elevated Paramahamsa as Guru. Then next instruction is giving one must place faith and love in me. Without faith and love, we will never develop bhakti. So one must develop faith and love in me, in spiritual master and the Supreme Lord and devotees. The third one, inquire about the absolute truth. This is what is the main instruction. Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami showing, even though we may know, but one must inquire from Guru. So they showed by their own example. Fourth, fourth one is what is it? Undergo austerities for devotion service. Undergo severe austerities for devotion service purpose only. That means on festival days, important festival, you must wake up early in the morning, must carry on our duties of chanting more sincerely and hearing and engaging in service, worshipping the deity, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. All these things must be done, especially special days. Monday is also very special day. So Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Goswami Prabhupada's Avirbhava appearance day. Very, very prominent day, because he is the line Guru. He can deliver us. Sincerely, we must pray, we must offer. And then fifth one, engaging in the service of the Lord. And then hear Krishna Katha. And then associate with devotees. Chant the holy name of the Lord. And love equally on everyone. Look equally, yeah. Don't disrespect others, even ordinary living entity. Look equally on everybody. And give up enmity. Subdue anger and lamentation. Give up enmity. Means because goal is only to serve the Supreme Lord. Then in that service, then we should ignore. If somebody is envious, we shouldn't be acting in the same way. We should ignore them. We should just simply carry on. Our duty is to carry on to follow the instruction of spiritual master and Supreme Lord, and not be agitated by anybody. Somebody is giving pain, somebody is becoming inimical, somebody is criticizing, whatever they may say. So if something we need to improve, that we can look at, but otherwise ignore and move on. Give up that enmity and subdue anger and lamentation. So don't become angry. That's why small things, this is not going to help in our developing, attaining our goal of life. Then why should we become angry? Sometimes we can't, because this requires practice. That's the more we understand that in terms of attaining our goal, what is the use of becoming angry? Because the things are not going to go as per our own ideas. So not everybody is individual. Each and every family member, friends and devotees, everybody individual. They are bringing their own baggage, so they may not act exactly the way we want. So we have to sincerely try to serve them, try to instruct them to the degree they can take. That's fine. If not, then move on. So because that's not the goal of life, to become agitated, then it's not going to help anybody. So that's why we have to keep that in our mind always. Give up that, subdue our anger and lamentation. By lamenting, nothing is going to happen. So then the next instruction Rsabha is going to abandon identifying self with the body at home. And practice reading scriptures. abandoning, especially at home, because we tend to, because we are trying to beautify our home, beautifying our body, beautifying all constantly. We are on this bodily I and my concept when you are at home. That's why he's instructing abandon identifying self with the body and at home. At home specifically is mentioned, and practice reading the scriptures because this will help. Will stay focused. Instead of becoming body centered, I and my centered, we will become Krishna centered as we are reading regularly, as we become practice to read regularly, even 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, whatever. Then it helps us to keep Krishna in the center every day. Changes throughout the day, it may go here and there, being passionate and in ignorance and whatnot, but more and more we practice in that way, then we stay in mode of goodness and gradually come to Visuddha Sattva. Then observe celibacy. This is also very important. It requires great practice. Celibacy means brahmacharya. Being in grahastha ashram also is very important. It's not easy at all. So it requires tremendous practice. It will come by devotional activities, by service, by chanting, by hearing, by reading, by worshipping the deity. All these helps us to come to this observing celibacy. It's not easy otherwise. The next is perform prescribed duties and avoid prajalpa. Prescribed duties means devotional activities and also taking care of family. That is also prescribed duty. As a grahastha, as a parent, as a father, as a guardian, all these are prescribed duties. Other than our spiritual duties, that is also priority. But this is also taking care of our family, and those needs are also a priority. And avoid prajalpa, unnecessary talks other than anything related to Krishna. So that is not prajalpa, but anything which is not related to Krishna or his devotees is prajalpa. So we should try to avoid as much as possible. The next instruction is always think of the Supreme Lord, acquire knowledge from the right sources. So that's why don't try to acquire knowledge from Google. Don't try to acquire anybody and everybody you get in Google or YouTube, or so it must be authorized. So that's why so among devotees also we should be looking at. That's why it's not easy. That's why first we should read Prabhupada's books, and we should recognize by looking at the result, by seeing the transformation, by their practice, how much they are able to practice. So accordingly we know. So then then we will be able to get transformation also. Otherwise it's not easy to get on. One must be patient and enthusiastic and practice the bhakti yoga in this way, then you will become free from false ego. Yeah, this is the instruction. Fifth canto, fifth chapter, verse number 10 to 13. These are the 4 verses or 5 verses, 4 verses is instructing how to become free from false ego. All these instructions are coming just from these 4 verses to become free from false ego. That's why we are here. Icha dvesh dvandva mohena bharata. Because of false ego only. Real ego means servant of Krishna, servant of his devotees. False ego means identifying with the body, extended body. So all these are I and my. This is the false ego. So to become free, we have to practice this way. This is the instruction of Lord Rsabha. Now coming to Prthu Maharaj, we will discuss also Chaitanya Leela. But before that, Rsabhadeva's instruction. Lord Rsabhadev, where that Rsabhachala, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited. I want to read about that so that you all know. I'll try to post the picture also. This Rsabha Parvata, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 9 is mentioned. Lord Chaitanya's South India travels include a stop at Rsabha Parvata. When Lord went to Sriranga Kshetra, where he converted a Brahmana named Venkata Bhatta, who along with his family became a devotee of Krishna. After leaving Srirangam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Rsabha Parvata, where he met Paramananda Puri, who later arrived at Jagannath Puri. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then proceeded farther, arriving at Setubandha, Rameswar. And then about Rsabha Parvata, Madhya Leela, chapter 9, verse number 166 and 167. Rsabha Parvate Chalila Gaurahari, Narayana Dekila, Tanha Nati Stuti Kari. When the Lord arrived at Rsabha Hill, he saw the temple of Lord Narayana and offered obeisances and various prayers. Rsabha Hill is in southern Karnataka, in the district of Madurai. This is in Tamil Nadu. Madurai, not Karnataka, not Karnataka. 12 miles north of Madurai city is a place called Angada Malaya Parvata, which is situated within the forest of Kutakachala. Within this forest, Lord Rishabhadeva burned himself to ashes. Now this place is known as Palni Hill. Paramananda Puri Tahan Rahe Chaturmasa Suni Mahaprabhu Gela Puri Gosani Rapasa. Um, Paramananda Puri was staying at Rsabha Hill during the 4 months of Chaturmas rainy season. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he immediately went to see him. Rsabha Hill is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the tract of land known as Bharatavarsha as Ilavrata Varsha, there are many mountains and rivers. Some of the mountains are known as Malaya, Mangala Prastha, Mainaka, Trikuta, Rsabha, Kutaka, Kolaka, Sahiya, Devagiri, Rishyamukha, Srisaila, Venkata, Mahendra. This Venkata is Tirupati, Venkatachala. Srisaila is also mentioned close to that. Varidhara, Vindhya, Shuktiman, Rakshagiri, Pariyatra, Drona, Chitrakuta also we know, Ramayana. Govardhan we know. Raivataka, this is Raivata mountain. Revati, Lord Balram's. Kaukuba, Neela, Gokhamukha, Indrakila is the, I think, I don't know if it's the same. The Vijayawada, Indrakila Adri. And Kamagiri. Besides these, there are many other hills with many large and small rivers flowing from their slopes. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 19, verse number 16. There are other mountains beautifully arranged around the foot of Sumeru, like the firmaments around the whole of the lotus flower. Their names are Kuragja, Kurara, Kuzumba, Vaikanta, Trikuta, Sisira, Patanga, Ruchaka, Nirshada, Srinivasa, Kapila, Sankha, Vaidurya, Jarudi, Hamsa, Rsabha. Even there also it is mentioned. That is 5.16.26 Srimad Bhagavatam. As Prabhupada mentions in the purport 9.16, Lord Rsabha Hill visited by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is commonly known as today's Palani or Palani Hill. Currently residing atop this prominent hillock is a Murugan temple, Kartikeya temple. A Kannadi Perumal temple dedicated to Vishnu is situated on another hillock 9 kilometers south of Palani. But we do not know what Narayan temple Mahaprabhu visited because as the time passes, we don't know exact details. So which one? This is about the this Rsabha Hill. Further, it is mentioned the forest fire that devoured Rsabha's body is also mentioned in biographical narratives of Lord Chaitanya's associate Paramananda Puri. When Mahaprabhu left Nilachal to do the Tirtha Yatra in southern India, the company of Krishnadas Vipra, he travelled through Kurma Sthana, Jid Narsingha, Vidyanagra, where he met with Rai Ramananda, Gautami Ganga, Mallikarjuna, Ahobil Narsimha, Siddhavata, Skanda Kshetra, Trimatta, Vruddha Kasi, Bauddha Sthana, Tirupati, Trimalla, Pana Narsingha, this is Mangalagiri, Shiva Kanchi, Vishnu Kanchi, Trikalahasti, Vruddhaloka, Bhairavi, Kaveri River, Kurma, what is it? Kumbhakarna's forehead, Srirangam. When he arrived at Rsabha mountain, he met Paramananda Puri for the first time. Rsabha Parvata is in the state of Tamil Nadu in Madurai district. 12 miles north of the town Madurai are the Angada Malaya mountain where Rishabhadeva was born in the forest surrounding Kutakachalam. This place is known today as Palani Hill or Varaha Parvata according to the local people. So in this way, we can see from different angles. Further, it is mentioned. Several of Sri Chaitanya Tirtha Yatra visits. Lord Balrama and Nityananda Prabhu both visited Rsabha Parvata in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.79.11 to 15. Lord Balrama traveled in the southern province known as Dravida Desha. The Supreme Lord saw the sacred Venkata Hill. This is Lord Balram in the Kurukshetra war. He left and he didn't participate, but rather he went to all these places. One is Rsabhachal. As well as cities of Kama, Koshni, Kanchi, exalted Kaveri river, mostly holy Srirangam. Lord Krishna manifested himself. From there he went to Rsabha mountain, where Lord Krishna also lives, and to the southern Mathura. Then he came to Sedubandha, where the most grievous sins are destroyed. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat Adilila, chapter 9, we read Nityananda Prabhupada's travels. Nityananda Prabhu went to Dravida after visiting Venkatanada, Puri, Kanchi. He arrived at the famed stream of Kaveri, and from there went to the holy place of Srirangam, where he stayed for some time. From there he went to Harikshetra, then he visited Mount Rsabha. Then he travelled to South Madura, Pratamala, Tamraparni, and then journeyed northward to Yamuna, where he visited the home of Agatsya on Malaya mountain. So in this way we can see various places, various personalities, Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, So visited this Rsabha hill. So it's not a ordinary place. So I have to do fast, already 7:50. King Prthu, King Prthu. Next is the 14th verse we read. Is that is before Lord Rsabha was the incarnation of the Lord directly. King Prthu Maharaj is Satyavesi avatar, Jiva Tattva, not the directly incarnate, not Iswar Tattva, sorry, not Iswara Tattva, but Jiva Tattva. So there it is mentioned, I described in one of the first class of Nityan, Glories of Lord Nityananda, where in Madhya Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita, see, Sesha Swa Sevana Shakti Prutute Palana Parasurame Dushta Nasaka Virya Samcharana. So out of Siktyavesh avatar prominent, 6 or 7, out of them Prthu Maharaj is Palana Shakti, as a king. That energy has been invested in Prthu Maharaj as Siktyavesh avatar. So Shesha avatar as his own service by expanding as in various paraphernalia, as bed, as a paduka, and in these various ways as Sesha in the spiritual world. That is Vishnu Tattva. Prthu Maharaj is Jiva Tattva. He is empowered as a ruler of the kingdom. Parsuram is to kill the miscreants and rogues. Dushtan Asaka Virya Sancharana is also Jiva Tattva, empowered incarnation. So that's what we have to clearly understand there. So just like the Lord, the King Prthu Maharaj given various instructions as I was explaining. Before King Prthu Maharaj was born, we can see how he was born itself. Before that, King Vena, his father was Vena. Vena was so inimical to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, completely religious. So much so that everywhere chaos, no religious principles were followed. Then it became so, even his own father left by seeing his attitude, because the mother itself was from a wrong, improper background, and then a wrong timing. So then that's how the Vena was born. And then he tried to instruct his father, King Anga, instructed him, he didn't listen. Then he left the kingdom and went. At that time, the Brahmanas tried, because nobody is there to rule. So they had to place Vena. They had no choice. But Vena, despite instructions, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, he didn't listen. He did his own thing. So that's where he has been instructed. As Arjuna is identifying, one wants to see God, one wants to communicate with God. Can you show me God if God exists? But then, do you have the capacity and qualification? That's why as Arjuna, Prabhupada is mentioning this. Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Adidevam Ajam Vibhum Saswatam. So Arjuna is mentioning how Lord is pure. So unless we are pure, how can we see God? So because of sinful activity, we are not able to see God. So that is the first thing. How can we approach God with sinful life? It's not possible. Just like if we keep things in order, then uh, for Vedic injunction, accordingly nature will supply. Then gradually we will be able to come to the path of perfection. Then we will be able to see God. Then we will be able to communicate with God. Otherwise, as I mentioned, police force will harass the criminal. Same way, material world, material nature will harass, give various difficulties to the living entities. So that's why. So that's why it's very important. Now, Prthu Maharaj is given various instruction. Canto 4, chapter 21, verse number 21 to 44. Give just brief instruction as we have to move on to Chaitanya Leela also. One must satisfy the Supreme Lord. This is the first and foremost instruction. Is telling all his citizens. Prthu Maharaj is telling after he started ruling the kingdom. This is the first thing. Before ruling the kingdom, he is instructing. One must satisfy the Supreme Lord. Some Ata Pumbir Dvijasreshta Varnashna Vagasa Sthanustutas Dharma Samsiddhir Haritoshna. Second instruction, don't occupy post without discharging duty. Don't become sinful otherwise. So that means don't occupy, don't become father, don't become mother unless you discharge your duties. One must teach by example ourselves. Then children will learn by seeing us, not what we say, but they will watch us, what we are doing. So that's why if you bite nails, they will also bite nails. So accordingly, so all these things will come from our own, ourself or our father, poor father. So that those things will come naturally also. So that's why we must observe how we conduct, accordingly children also act. So that's why don't occupy post without discharging proper duty. Don't act sinfully. So because they will also naturally become in that way. Then the next one is execute duties properly and especially, yeah, with your think of Lord within your hearts while executing duties properly. Think of Lord, Supreme Lord, within your hearts. This is the same instruction Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna. Mam anusmara yuddhacha. Think of me and also fight. Both has to happen parallelly. So just like the if it is work related, something emergency, then we know it is must be done. So that's why we pay attention. So whatever going on in life, we don't care. We pay attention. Same way, if we think Krishna is the serious business, worshipping Krishna, attaining Krishna, Krishna prema, then definitely we can think. While doing other things, we'll be able to think. We'll be able to follow the activity, devotional activity. Otherwise, because if you don't have that understanding, that thought, then we will not be able to think. Both do work and at the same time think of the Lord is not generally not possible unless we have that tendency. Next is instruction. Anyone who cooperates with King Prthu Maharaj as a devotee and also get the same benefit. Like anybody who's cooperating with Sri Prabhupada, spiritual master, sages, exalted devotees, by cooperating with them in their service, then naturally they will also get the result. King Prthu Maharaj is instructing his citizens. If we all cooperate, we all together serve the Supreme Lord to please and follow the instructions of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, guided by them. If you all cooperate in that, then naturally you will also get benefited. So same way when we serve the Supreme Lord, offer bhoga, then we are getting, Lord is not finishing everything. So He is giving back. So we will also be receiving that mercy in the same way. So when we serve the devotees, especially the spiritual masters, Prabhupada, so glad we will also get the benefit. That's why one must cooperate. That's why Prabhupada established Krishna conscious society. Thinking, feeling, willing, and executing the will of the Supreme Lord. So that's why specifically Prabhupada has called that out. International Society for Krishna Consciousness means thinking, feeling, willing, executing the instruction of the Supreme Lord. Everything, including thinking or feeling or willing of the Supreme Lord, of the Guru. So that is why it is very important. That is called adoksha diya, thinking of the Supreme Lord in the hearts. That is a gradual practice, slowly, gradually. More and more we do, then at the end of life, hopefully, we'll be able 24/7, we'll be able to think of the Lord in that way. Then inclination to serve the lotus feet of the devotees and Supreme Lord. Then engage your body, mind, words, and results of your occupational duties. Yeah, it's very important. If you don't use it, it becomes karma kanda. It becomes implicated. We may work, we may get money, but if we don't utilize in the service of Supreme Lord and devotees, then that becomes implication. So results of your occupational duties. Be open minded. This is also very important. Be open minded and render service to the Lord with full confidence without reservation. These are very important points. Be open minded means don't means you're only whatever you are thinking, that is the only right way. So no other considerations should be taken. That's wrong. That's so open minded. Whatever pleases the Supreme Lord, whatever can satisfy, whatever to complete the task of Guru and spiritual master and Supreme Lord, that must be considered. So that's why open minded must be there. So ultimately we must satisfy. That should be the goal. Satisfy even if we don't, even if his enemy is giving a good consideration, we must take it. Like Suruchi gave a good instruction. Suniti told yes, even though she is telling not to say, you will not be able to sit on father's lap, but instruction was good. So she told yes, take that instruction and follow through. So that's why it is very important. Open minded. And then with full confidence, without reservation. That is also very important. Sometimes if service is given, we have some our own reservation. I don't want to do this, that. We have so many other things. So then we will not be able to actually get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So that's why with full confidence, we must have confidence on Guru and devotee and Supreme Lord without reservation. That is a very important point, without reservation. The next, not to um, not to exhibit material powers before Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and avoid offending them. Mahatma Agrani, Supreme Lord is called Mahatma Agrani, is the topmost. So he is also, Supreme Lord is also showing by his own example how he served Narada Muni, how he served Sudama, Vipra. So he washing the feet, even though Supreme Lord doesn't need to do, but he is showing by his own example. He is not showing his opulence. So that's why one must be meek and humble. Vidya Dadat Namrata, as we were discussing in Gita's class yesterday. So that's very important. More we become mature and mature, more we read, more we hear, more we engage, we must become meek and humble. And next one is by regular service to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, one can clear the dust from the heart, dirt accumulated from the heart, and enjoy supreme peace and liberation. So that is the only way. And by carrying dust on his head, very soon relieved of all reactions. This is the King Prthu Maharaj's instructions. Now we'll read from Caitanya Bhagavat. So nice instruction is there. So Chaitanya Charitamrita Gaur Leela. Let me see what is quicker one. Then we'll read. Let me read the quick one. Then can read. Yeah. Yeah. Quick one. This is from Bhakti Ratnakar. Mahaprabhu's dance on Janmashtami day in the house of Srivas. One day in the house of Srivas, Prabhu announced, tomorrow is the birthday of Lord Krishna. Srivas and others, knowing the mind of Prabhu, at once understood that tomorrow you dance in the form of Gopa. Everyone began busily preparing for the forthcoming festival. On the next day, in the house of Srivas was filled with joy as auspicious Abhishek of Lord Krishna was performed. Afterward, they spent the entire night absorbed in Sankirtan. The following morning, Nityananda expertly dressed and decorated Gaur Hari in the garb of a Gopa. Ramai, Sundarananda, Gauridas, and others also decorated themselves as Gopas. They all took earthen pots full of yogurt and butter, tied strings around the necks of the pots, and then tied the pots on the both ends of the stick. Placing the stick on their shoulder, they entered into the compound of Srivas, absorbed in the mood of Gopas. Srivas and Advaita scattered curd and turmeric on the compound. Within a short time, in the house of Srivas was transformed into the house of Nanda Maharaj, the father of Krishna. Narahari has described this incident in his songs. Narasakka Thakur, Bhakti Ratnakar author. By the order of Mahaprabhu, arrangements were made to perform birthday ceremony of Sri Radha in the house of Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi. With a smile, Prabhu told Pundarik, tomorrow I shall observe birthday ceremony of Sri Radhika in your house. Vidyanidhi was overjoyed and rushed to his house to arrange everything for the festival. The next day, Prabhu and his companions came to the house of Vidyanidhi. First of all, Prabhu performed Abhishek of Sri Radha. Then he decorated himself as Gopa and directed his followers to do the same. Taking on their shoulders earthen pot filled with milk, curd, and butter, they all began dancing like Gopas. Pundarika scattered milk, curd, and turmeric in the compound of his house. Afterward, taking up their musical instrument, they began Sankirtan, dancing and chanting eloquently as the Lord, in the dress of Gopa, stood beneath the Kadamba tree, holding his fruit in the pose of Krishna. This is the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord's pastime as a cohort boy. O Srinivas, this is the spot where Prabhu revealed his pastimes as a cohort boy. When Gaurahari remembered his cows, he suddenly began calling out, Sayoli, Sayoli, Davali, Davali, the names of the two favorite cows of Krishna. No, two favorite cows of Krishna. What are those? Sayoli and Davali. These are the two names, favorite cows of Krishna. He began to move the stick for controlling the cows as Ramai, Sundara, and Nityananda watched joyfully. So, Dana Leela Prabhu. One day, Prabhu went out wandering throughout the streets of Nadia to collect alms, requesting, give me something, give me something. Although this sometimes put people in great difficulty, they were unable to refuse, but afterward they began to suspect that they had given alms to Gaura, who was actually the incarnation of Krishna. Sri Gaurasundara's flower throwing pastimes. One day, seeing a flower garden Mahaprabhu wanted to enjoy pastimes with the flowers. He picked flowers and began throwing them on the heads of the devotees. And the devotees in return also threw flowers on the head of Prabhu. Just playing. One day Prabhu and Gadadhar sat amidst the flower garden and became deeply absorbed in playing chess together. Gadadhar Pandit Srimad Radharani and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. So playing chess together. Prabhu's water. One day on the bank of Ganga, Prabhu and his companions played in water, delightfully throwing water on another's bodies. Gaurang Mahaprabhu's picnic. Oh Srinivas. One day on the bank of Ganga, Prabhu enjoyed a picnic with his companions. Srivas and Murari gathered many items and Advaita directed all of them to sit in a circle, placing a palasa leaf plate filled with rice in front of each of them. First Prabhu began eating, then everyone else began to eat. With his own hand, Nityananda fed Gaura, Kshira, Sara, butter and chana. Kshira means sweet rice. Or just milk condensed. Also Sara, butter and chana. Chana is the paneer. Advaita similarly fed Nityananda, chana, paneer, etc. Then Nitai reciprocated by feeding Advaita sweetmeats. The devotees watched happily and also began feeding the varieties of prasad to one another. After eating, they all drank the cold and pure water of Ganga. In another song, Narahari had described the same event. Julan Leela of Sri Gauranga, songs of Narahari. O Srinivas, due to the desire of Gaurachandra, all 6 seasons were visible in Nadia for making the rainy season a pleasant one. Prabhu climbed on a cradle and performed a Julan Leela. As the Lord sat on his swing near the bank of Ganga, Gadadhar, Nityananda and Advaita others sang the songs of Julan. The Lord's beauty stole the mind of the universe as he sat looking like a bright lightning illuminating the cloudy monsoon sky. After some time, they brought Prabhu down from the cradle and placed him under the Nipa tree. Seeing Prabhu under the Nipa tree, Nitai became filled with ecstatic emotion and began to cry. Advaita roared in ecstasy, while Srivas and others offered many items of food to Prabhu. Prabhu Gauraraya, the life of all, first of all distributed prasad to his devotee and afterwards he ate. Gaurachandra gladly revealed his pastimes of Rasa Rasa. Reminded of Vrindavan Leela, Prabhu regarded the Ganga as Yamuna, his companions as the Gopas, and the flower gardens as Vrindavana. He would dance ecstatically, uttering Jai Jai. O Srinivas, Gaurachandra and his companions happily enjoyed the pleasant atmosphere of Nadia in Vasantarutu. Narahari had described in a song that at this time Prabhu enjoyed the pastime of throwing red powder on one another. During this season, the trees in Nadia blossomed with flowers. The cuckoos sang sweetly, bumblebees hummed contentedly amidst the flowers as the wind blew mildly. On the bank of Ganga, Prabhu Gaura Rai played holy with his companions. This is the time, same time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day is holy, same day, March 17th, Thursday. He collected the flower pollen and smilingly smeared the pollen on the body of Gaurachandra. Prabhu also smeared red powder on the bodies of devotees. Nityananda, Advaita, Srivas and others began to throw red powder on one another. Observing this beautiful scene, even the demigod became impatient to take part in the fun. Filling the pichakaris with the cool water, Narahari, Srivas, Murari and others began showering Prabhu's body with water. Vakreshwara and others began singing while Sanjaya and Vijaya played kola, karatal, pradanga and other instruments. All the people of Nadia rushed to the spot to observe beautiful holy pastimes of Prabhu and his companion. Narahari had described the spot of holy in many songs in different ragas. Mahaprabhu stealing clothes. One evening, reminiscent of his pastimes as Krishna, Gaurasundara enjoyed the mischievous sport of stealing the clothes of his companions. After some time, the Lord returned their clothes. Narahari has also described this pastime in one of his songs. Sachinandana has revealed his Govardhan Leela to his associates. So Srivas, who could avoid meditating upon the wonderful pastimes of Gaurasundara? So many, and even the Astakaliya Leela Smarana of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also given. We will not describe that. No. So this pastime is meeting with Iswara Puri. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting with Iswara Puri. The shorter one. It's not short, means short, but we'll read quickly. All glories to Gaurachandra. Jaya Jaya Maheswara Gaurachandra. Balya Leelaya Sri Vidya Vilasera Kendra. All glories to Sri Gaurachandra, Lord of Lords. In his childhood, he was the reservoir of scholastic pastimes. In this way, the Gaura, the best of the Brahmanas, confidentially lived in Navadvip. He had no engagement other than studying. His form was enchanting as millions of cupids. Each of his limbs were incomparably charming. His arms extended to his knees, and his eyes were like the petals of lotus. He chewed betel nut and dressed divinely. As the Lord walked with thousands of students by the strength of his knowledge, he entertained everyone with his sharp wit. Vishwamra, the Lord of three worlds, traveled all over the Navadvip, holding his hand, his beloved Saraswati, in the form of a book. There was no scholar throughout Navadvip who could understand Nimai's explanations. The Lord discussed his explanation only with the most fortunate Gangadas Pandit. All the materialistic people said, the parents of this boy are certainly glorious. What can they be lacking? All the ladies considered the Lord to be attractive as Cupid, and the atheists considered him as a death personified. All the learned scholars considered him as equal to Brahaspati. In this way, everyone appreciated the Lord according to their own mentality. Seeing Vishwambra's attractive form, Vaishnavas felt both jubilation and lamentation. They thought, although he has such a divine body, he has no attraction for Krishna. What good is his education if he simply wastes his time? All the Vaishnavas were bewildered by the internal potency of the Lord. So, even though they saw the Lord, they didn't understand him. Although they directly saw the Lord, some of them said, why do you waste your time in fruitless pursuit of knowledge? Lord smiled on hearing his servant speak like this, and he replied, I am fortunate to have you instruct me. As the Lord thus passed his time in scholastic pastime, his servants could not recognize him, so what to speak of others? People came from all over India to study in Navadvip, for if one studied in Navadvip, he got a taste for education. Many Vaishnavas came from Chittagram to live on the bank of Ganga and study in Navadvip. They were all renounced devotees of Krishna and taken birth by the order of the Lord. After school hours, they regularly met together in a solitary place to discuss the topics of Krishna. Sri Mukunda was the most dear to all the Vaishnavas. Their hearts all melted when he sang Sri Mukunda. Brothers, in the afternoon, all the devotees regularly met in the house of Advaita Prabhu. As soon as Mukunda would begin singing about Krishna, everyone there fell to the ground in ecstatic love. Some of them cried, some laughed, and others danced. The clothes of some persons scattered as they rolled on the ground. Someone roared as he challenged the agents of Maya, and someone else caught hold of Mukunda's feet. In this way, the Vaishnavas enjoyed great ecstasy, forgot all forms of distress. The Lord was most satisfied with Mukunda. Whenever the Lord saw him, he would stop him. The Lord would then ask Mukunda for some clarification on a point, and when Mukunda answered him, the Lord would say, wrong, and immediately an argument would begin. By the mercy of the Lord, Mukunda was very learned. Thus, he was able to present arguments and counter-arguments to Nimai's challenge. In this way, the Lord recognized his devotees by challenging them for clarification on some point, but they were all defeated in the ensuing argument. Srivas and other devotees were challenged in this way by the Lord, but they would all run away in fear of wasting time in useless arguments. The devotees were naturally detached due to their advancement in Krishna consciousness. They did not care to hear anything other than topics related with Lord Krishna. As soon as the Lord saw any devotee would challenge him, and when he failed to give a correct response, the Lord would tease him. If any of them saw the Lord coming in the distance, they would run away out of fear of being challenged. This is the scholar Nimai Pandit. That is his pastimes now. The devotees all loved to hear topics concerning Lord Krishna, but Nimai did not mention anything about Krishna when he challenged them. One day, as Nimai walked on the main street with his students, he displayed symptoms of great pride. At that time, Mukunda was on his way to take bath in the Ganga, but when he saw Nimai coming, he ran away. Seeing this, Lord inquired from Govinda, why did this boy run away from seeing me? Govinda replied, oh Pandita, I don't know, perhaps he went somewhere for some work. Lord said, I know the reason why he is avoiding me. He does not want to speak with a non-devotee. This boy studies only Vaishnava literatures, while I explain only Panji, Vritti and Tika. This is all Nyaya and all. I do not speak anything about Krishna, therefore he ran away when he saw me. The Lord called Mukunda some ill names, yet he was actually satisfied with him. At the same time, he indirectly disclosed his identity. The Lord said, my dear boy, how long will you avoid my clutches? Do you think you will escape my association by running away? Smiling, the Lord said, when I finish my studies, then you will all see my Vaishnava qualities. I will be such a Vaishnava that Brahma and Shiva will come to my door. My dear brothers, listen to me. I will certainly become an extraordinary Vaishnava. Those who run away from me today will chant my glories and qualities tomorrow. After speaking in this way, Nimai smiled and returned home with his students. Who can understand these pastimes enjoyed by Lord Vishwambara unless he reveals them? In this way, devotees resided in Navadvip, which was filled with people intoxicated by wealth and children. As soon as such people heard the devotees' kirtan, they taunted the devotees. Someone said, this is just means for fulfilling their stomachs. Another said, they have given up cultivation of knowledge to dance like madmen. What kind of behavior is this? Someone else said, I've studied Srimad Bhagavatam for a long time, but I have never found any mention of dancing and crying on as a spiritual path. My dear brothers, because of Srivas and his three brothers, we cannot sleep after eating. Is there no piety in softly chanting Krishna's names? Must one chant, dance, and shout loudly? In this way, all sinful atheists abused the Vaishnavas whenever they saw them. Hearing their abusive words, the devotees were greatly distressed. They would chant Krishna's name and cry loudly. How long will the miserable condition last? O Krishna Chandra, please manifest yourself to these people. The Vaishnavas all told Advaita Prabhu about the abusive words of atheists. Hearing this incident, Advaita Acharya became as angry as Lord Rudra and loudly exclaimed, I will kill them all. My Lord, who carries a chakra, is coming. Then you will see what happens in Nadia. I will make Krishna appear before the eyes of all. Then this person named Advaita will be known as the servant of Krishna. Please wait for a few more days, my dear brothers, and you will see Krishna right here. After hearing the words of Advaita, all the devotees forgot their distress and began kirtan. As the auspicious sound of Krishna's name arose, Advaita and other devotees became overwhelmed. The pains caused by these abusive words were mitigated as the city of Navadvip became filled with ecstasy. Lord Visvambara happily passed his days in study and always increased by the joy of Mother Sachi. In the meantime, Sri Iswarapuri came in disguise to Navadvip. He was overwhelmed with love for Krishna. He was the most merciful and dear to Lord Krishna. Krishna Rasi Parama Vihpala Mahashaya Ekanta Krishnera Priya Ati Dayamaya. Iswarapuri is the disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri. From their actual ecstatic love, the Braja Bhakti, Krishna Prema has been distributed from Madhavendra Puri onwards. Especially the highest rasa, Madhurya rasa, has been distributed. Wearing the dress, he could not be recognized by anyone as he arrived by providence at the house of Advaita. He humbly sat down close to where Advaita Prabhu was performing his puja. The effulgence of a Vaishnava cannot be hidden from another Vaishnava, and therefore Advaita Prabhu looked at him again and again. Advaita then said, Dear Prabhu, who are you? I think you are a Vaishnava sannyasi. Iswarapuri replied, I am lower than Sudra. I have come here simply to see your lotus feet. Understanding the situation, Mukunda began to sing a song about Krishna with great devotion. As the sound of Mukunda's singing entered his ears, Sri Iswarapuri fell to the ground. Nayanere Jalai Anta Mahika Tahan Puna Puna Bade Prema Darara Payan. Incessant tears flowed from his eyes and the waves of love increased again and again. Advaita Prabhu hastily took him in his arms and his entire body became wet with tears. The symptoms of ecstatic love continued to increase rather than diminish as Mukunda began to loudly recite appropriate verses. Dekiya Vaishnava Sabha Premera Vikara Atula Ananda Mane Janmela Sabha. The Vaishnava's hearts were filled with incomparable happiness as they saw their transformations of ecstatic love. Later, when they learned that he was Iswarapuri, the devotees all remembered Lord Hari. In this way, as Iswarapuri wandered about Navadvip in disguise, no one was able to recognize him. One day, as Sri Gaurasundar was returning home from school, by providence he met Sri Iswarapuri. Seeing his eternal servant, Lord offered him obeisances. Visvambara's personal beauty was indescribable. He was the reservoir of all extraordinary qualities. Although people did not know his real identity, they nevertheless had a great respect for him. When Iswarapuri saw Nimai's feature, he could understand that Nimai was the most grave and exalted personality. Iswarapuri inquired, O best of the Brahmanas, what is your name? What are you studying and teaching, and where do you live? When the others replied, he is Nimai Pandit, Iswarapuri joyfully said, So you are Nimai. The Lord invited Iswarapuri for lunch, then respectfully brought him home. Mother Sachi prepared an offering for Krishna, and after honoring the prasad, Iswarapuri sat in the temple room. Thereafter, Iswarapuri became fully absorbed while describing topics of Lord Krishna. The Lord was satisfied to see his unprecedented symptoms of love, which he did not normally manifest due to the people's misfortunate position. Iswarapuri stayed for a few months in Navadvip at the home of Sri Gopinath Acharya. Everyone was overjoyed to see him, and the Lord would also regularly go to visit him. Seeing Gadadhar Pandit's tears of love, all the Vaishnavas felt great affection for him. As he was detached from worldly life since childhood, Iswarapuri also felt similar affection for him. He had Gadadhar Pandit study a book that he had written named Krishna Lilamrita. After studying and teaching, the Lord went in the evening to offer his obeisance to Iswarapuri. Iswarapuri was happy to see Nimai. Though he did not know him as Supreme Lord, he still had love for him. Iswarapuri smiled and said, You are a big scholar. I have written a book about the characteristics of Lord Krishna. I would be most satisfied if you would tell me if there is any fault in it. Oh, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu telling Yeswara Puri about this book. What is the book name? Mentioned character of Krishna. Krishna Leelamrita. This is at Nimai Pandit. Lord replied, whoever finds fault in a devotee's description of Lord Krishna is a sinful person. Krishna is certainly pleased with his devotee's poetry, even though it is imperfectly composed. An uneducated person may chant Vishnaya, while a sober person will chant the proper form Vishnave. But the Supreme Lord Krishna will accept both forms when they are chanted with devotion. At the time of offering obeisance to Lord Vishnu, a foolish person chants Vishnaya Namaha, and a learned person chants Vishnave Namaha. But both achieve equal piety by their offering of obeisance, because Lord Sri Janardana sees the sentiment of living being. In other words, if he sees the degree of devotion, or in other words, he wants a result accordingly, he does not see one's foolishness or intelligence. One who finds fault with the devotee is himself at fault, for a devotee's descriptions are meant only for the pleasure of Krishna. Therefore, who will dare find fault with your devotional description of Krishna's pastimes? Hearing Nimai's reply was like a shower of nectar on the body of Iswara Puri. He then smiled and said, you will not find a fault, but you must tell me if there is any error in the book. Thereafter, Nimai would daily sit with Iswara Puri for 1 or 2 hours to discuss his book. When the Lord heard his explanation, he was most satisfied with his servant's victory, and he did not find any further fault. The Vedas declare that the Lord by nature always expands his devotees' glories by making them victorious. In this way, Yeswara passed few months enjoying scholastic pastimes with Sri Gaurachandra. I think this book written by Yeswara, not Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeswara, however, would not remain in one place due to the restless nature of his ecstatic love. He thus went out on the pilgrimage to purify the earth. Whoever hears the auspicious topics about Sri Iswara lives at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Ye sunaye Iswara Purira Punya Katha Tana Vasahaya Krishna Pada Padma Yatha. Sri Madhavendra Puri happily gave the complete treasure of his ecstatic love to Sri Iswara. By the mercy of Sri Krishna, Sri Iswara obtained the love of God from his spiritual master. So he traveled free from all anxieties. Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sings the glories of their lotus feet. So, in this way, conclude. But in the interest of time, we'll stop here. Any questions, comments, reflections? Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Any questions, comments? Krishna? Krishna?
Prabhu, you read it from the this Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Mangal, Prabhu?
The Chaitanya Bhagavat, earlier one. The previous one was Bhakti Ratnaka. One more pastime is there. Let me read this and then we will conclude. This is Suklambar Brahmachari's quick pastime. Seeing Suklambar Brahmachari standing before him, Lord Sri Gaurahari bestowed his mercy on him. Now here the topics regarding Suklambar Brahmachari, who lived in Navadvip, where the Lord appeared. Was always engaged in his occupational duties, and he was most peaceful, although no one knew it. He was a great devotee. He would take a bag in his shoulder and go beg alms from house to house in Navadvip. He would cry while chanting the names of Krishna day and night. People thought he was a beggar and therefore could not recognize him. He was so poor that he had to beg alms to maintain himself. After begging during the day, the Brahmana offered whatever he received to Krishna, accepted his remnants. In the ecstasy of receiving Krishna's mercy, he did not know poverty. He would chant Krishna's names as he wandered from house to house. Who can recognize the recipient of Lord Chaitanya's mercy? Only one who is favored by Lord is able. Suklambra engaged in devotional activity, service of Vishnu, just as the poor Damodara did previously. The word Damodara refers to Brahmana named Sridham or Sridham, in brackets Sudama. He was Krishna's friend and companion. Yes, Sudama visited Lord Krishna by the wife's order. He brought chickpea rice. The same person, Suklambar Brahmachari, appeared in Gaur Leela. Vishwambara bestowed such mercy on him that he could remain inside the house to watch the Lord's dance. On seeing Brahmana dance in ecstasy with his bag on his shoulder, the Lord and all the Vaishnavas laughed. As the Vishwambara sat down in the mood of Supreme Lord, Suklambara danced, cried, and laughed with his bag on his shoulder. While watching Suklambara, the most merciful Gauranga repeatedly called out to him, "Come, come. You are my poor servant, birth after birth. You give me everything and remain a beggar. I always desire your foodstuffs. Even if you don't give me, I forcibly take and eat them." That's what he did. Kuchela Sridham brought chipped rice, but he doesn't want to give because it is not in a good quality. But Lord snatched it. The same way here, Suklambar Brahman, the same thing is happening. Mahaprabhu said to Suklambar, "You are my impoverished devotee birth after birth. You have no desire to enter family life and become a householder. You beg alms door to door as a brahmachari and offer me whatever you collect. You are Naistik brahmachari, lifelong celibate. You are free from even the mundane false ego of the grahasthas and vanaprasthas. Being situated in Paramahamsa Dharma, you have accepted the occupation duties of a renounced Akinchan. Therefore, you are fully surrendered Tridandi Bhikshu or Vaishnava Sannyasi. You have been able to fully offer me all endeavors of your body, mind, speech. I always long for your offering. You have no preoccupation to in enjoying anything other than offering everything to me. Therefore, I forcibly took everything away from you. As a result, you are poor. Did you forget that I forcibly ate your broken rice in Dwarka? Kamala, the goddess of fortune, caught hold of my hand. After speaking in this way, Vishwambara took a handful of uncooked rice from Suklambra's begging bag and began eating it. Suklambra exclaimed, "O Lord, you have ruined me. This rice is full of broken particles." The Lord replied, "I eat your broken rice and I turn my face away from the nectar offered by non-devotees." Um, the Lord, who is independent, full of ecstasy on the life of devotees, ate that uncooked rice. Who could stop him? On seeing Lord's compassion, all the devotees began to cry while holding their heads. No one knew who fell where as they cried. Everyone was overwhelmed on seeing with such compassion. They then began to chant the glories of Krishna in great ecstasy. Everyone cried, from children up to the aged. Someone who held straw between the teeth, someone offered obeisance, another said, "O Lord, never leave me." The pious Suklambra rolled on the ground as the Lord of Vaikuntha happily ate that rice. The Lord said, "Listen, Suklambra Brahmachari, I constantly enjoy pastimes in your heart. When you eat, I eat. When you walk about for begging, that is my walking. I have incarnated to distribute Prema Bhakti. You are my beloved servant birth after birth. I now give you Prema Bhakti. Know for certain that Prema Bhakti is my life and soul." On hearing the benediction, Suklambar received all the Vaishnava chanted Jai Jai Hari Hari. The servant of Lord Lakshmi's Lord begs from door to door. What fortunate soul can understand the mystery of such pastimes? Whatever rice Suklambar collected by begging at 10 houses was forcibly eaten by Gaurasundar, the husband of Lakshmi. The Lord, who is the reservoir of transcendental qualities, personally explained through the Vedas the rules of offering foods. He does not accept anything unless it is offered according to those rules. But he breaks all these injunctions for the sake of his devotees. The acceptance of Suklambara rice is the proof of this. Therefore, a devotion is the life of all the rules. All the rules and regulations are the servants of devotion service. One who is distressed because of this is vanquished. Vedavyas has stated that devotion is the root of all rules, and Gauranga has directly demonstrated this. This is the Smartavya Satato Vishnu, Vismartavya Sanajatuchit, Sarva Vidya Nisheda Syur Etayor Eva Kinkara. In this way, we'll see the beautiful pastime of Suklambar Brahmachari, Sudham Sridham, appeared in Gaur Lila as Suklambar Brahmachari. So that's why one must offer within his own capacity to the Supreme Lord with a great efforts, depending on whatever capacity. Suklambar Brahmachari obviously poor, so that he is begging and offering whatever he gets with his body, mind, words, and speech. But one who has the capacity, he shouldn't offer just cheap stuff. He should offer within his means whatever he can get. Like Raghav Pandit used to get some anyway a distant place, he used to gather and offer. So endeavor, used to endeavor like that, whatever the best things. So same within our capacity, we should try to offer best things for the pleasure of the Lord. So in this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showing, teaching by his own example, devotion and love increases with how we take care of our family. We bring like our father or mother or friend or a family member likes something, then we try to buy things, even if it is costly, even if it is a distant place, we endeavor for it. Same way. So we should endeavor in that same way, day after day, our whole life for the pleasing Supreme Lord, spiritual Master, and devotees. So thank you very much. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Chaitanya Charitamrita Chaitanya Bhagavat ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Okay. Any questions? Quick questions. Already 8:30. Quick questions, reflections, comments. Ashish Karan Jagannath Prabhu, you're saying something earlier.
Yes, Prabhu, this last episode you already read, that is related to the Sudama Vipro, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay. And other in Holy you told that Holy related the story you told that is in
Yes.
Navadvip or anywhere.
This is Navadip. Yeah, Srivas Thakur, Srivas place. That's what it is mentioned. Right? If I read correctly, that was mentioned as Srivas place. I closed it. Yeah, I think it is Srivas place. Yeah. Yeah, all these are Navadip because one Janmashtami and Radhashtami. Radhashtami happened at the place of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Yeah, now I think that place is Bangladesh. There is a temple, Pundarik Vidyanidhi's place. But earlier everything is one because before dividing into India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, all this. But earlier it was all one, Bengal. Mm, yeah. So Janmashtami happened at Shiva's place and Radhashtami happened at Pundarik Vidyanidhi's place. Yeah.
Janmashtami happened in Shivas Thakur's place means in Navadvip.
Yeah.
Oh, Radhashtami happened in Bangladesh in Pundarika
Yeah.
Buddhani. So too far, Prabhu, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Means, yeah. Yes, that's how it seems. All these pastimes. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it is
And
mentioned Mahaprabhu's dancing on Janmashtami day in the house of Srivas, that is Srivas Thakur's. And then we heard in middle Radhashtami is mentioned at Pundarik Vidyanidhi's place. Yeah, this is yeah Pundarik Vidyanidhi's place, but I think this is in at least yeah Pundarik Vidyanidhi, but he used to come to Jagannath Puri also, but it is mentioned that I think this is Bangladesh only because Pundarik Vidyanidhi is home. I think that's where Sri Part. And that's where is in Bangladesh, as far as I know. But I'll double check. But that's how it seems. And this cohort pastime, this throwing the holy is also, I think, happening at Srivas place, as we read. Yeah. Yes.
Prabhu, Prabhu got it. And these are the things you are reading, Prabhu, from the Chaitanya Bhagavat and other books.
Yeah.
But same thing can we get the same thing in Chaitanya Charitamrita or not?
No. Chaitanya Charitamrita has different pastimes. So yeah, I'm reading. So we'll try. Hopefully, we'll cover. Even Chaitanya Charitamrita also will cover as we go on. That's why we started early so that we can cover as many pastimes. We are reading in the morning also during 6 to 6:30 some during these classes. Hopefully, we'll be able to in the next 2 3 weeks or 1 month. We'll be able to cover at least most of the pastimes. Chaitanya
Okay,
Mangal,
Prabhu.
Chaitanya Bhagavat, Bhakti Ratnakar, Murari Gupta Karacha, Chaitanya Charita Mahakavya, Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka, almost 7 or 8 books. So we're trying to cover as many as possible.
Okay, Prabhu, got it. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam to
Krishna.
everyone. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, we'll conclude today's session.